Lipless crankbaits are awesome tools to trigger bass that are sitting in shallow cover, and they're high speed, it's fast action. When you're burning a lipless crankbait like this and a bass slams it, I mean, it'll make your heart stop. They absolutely hammer these lures, and I've had big largemouth and smallmouth and spots choke these lures and get them all the way down in their gullets, which I hate to see, but they will absolutely chomp a lipless crankbait. Now, I like to make long casts when I'm fishing a lipless crankbait, so obviously I'm going to use a long rod. I'm going to use something like a 7'6", all the way up to maybe a 7'9", bait casting rod, and also I want something that's going to have a medium action. So when they hit that thing, that rod's going to have a nice bend, because these are pretty small treble hooks. You want it to have a nice bend so it doesn't pull the hooks out of their mouth. Where if you're using like a deep diving crankbait, you got bigger hooks and you don't need to worry as much about the hook pulling out. So lipless crankbaits use a long rod, and they're really great for burning over cover. A lot of big bass get caught every year on lakes like Lake Gunnersville or all across the country. Anywhere you got like, you know, a hydrilla lake, down in Florida even, you can catch them on these lipless crankbaits. Oh, that was close, almost hooked myself. But you know, these lipless crankbaits, you can rip them out of the grass. A lot of them are designed, and this one as well, are designed when that thing hangs up in the grass, you just give it a hard pop on the rod, it'll rip that bait free from the grass, and those bass will just come up and chomp it. So, lipless crankbaits, great fast moving bait. Get a nice long rod, and the reel I like to use is going to be a high speed reel. I like to use a 7-to-1 gear ratio up to like a 7-3-to-1 gear ratio, and I want something where I can burn this bait over shallow cover and rip that bait free, and the high speed gear ratio I found is just, you know, the best one for me. Now the line size, another thing, you know, you're ripping that bait out of grass or ripping it over cover or burning it over rocks. I like to use a little heavier line than I would on some of my other crankbaits. So I'm going to normally go with like a 15-pound test. I think 15-pound test, if you wanted to just go out, buy the right setup, 15-pound test fluorocarbon line will definitely suit you well with that crankbait, with this lipless crankbait. So get the right setup. It's always important. If you want to catch bass on a certain bait, you got to have the right setup. And that's why we're here doing this, so you guys know exactly what you need to catch some big bass.